Welcome to the Small Business Boot Camp Podcast, the show that gives lifetime solutions for your business and business solutions for your lifetime. I'm Corey Tucker, and today it's just Megan and I here in the studio, but we are joined by a very, very California special guest.
It's boot camp weekend here at Kids First, and we have some special guests and industry friends here with us, and we wanted to take an opportunity to be able to have some fun interviews. So today, we have the privilege of speaking with Dan Berzansky. He's the founder of Premier Aquatic Services, the owner of Premier Swim Academy, and the founder of One Team 360, which he developed to address all the complexities of managing everything else. Dan's an awesome speaker, a wonderful friend and partner to our business, and a great guy to talk with. So let's jump right in. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you. So happy to be here.
So we like to start off with a question, just random, off the wall. And today I wanted to ask, what did you want to be when you were a kid and why?
Oh, man, that is a good question. Honestly, I don't know that I ever looked past high school, and then I never looked past college. And then I honestly took the first job that I could get. I wasn't that deliberate about it. It wasn't until I was a little bit older that I got deliberate and actually knew what the hell I wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nothing as a kid. Like I can remember vividly what I have, but I'm holding on to mine for a minute. Do you not remember what you wanted to be?
I'm trying to think, like, did I want to be a firefighter? I think I wanted to be a Marine at one point.
Okay.
I love the idea of the military and things like that, but nothing that I ever legitimately was going to go after.
Did that have anything to do with your background? Like as a kid, any military?
No.
Family? You just wanted to be a Marine?
No. Yeah. It's interesting. I moved to the U.S. as a younger kid, and I wasn't sports. I didn't know, my dad didn't know baseball, didn't know football. It wasn't ever a sports related thing. It was always, I don't know, something past that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Corey, do you know what you wanted to be as a kid?
Oh, that's easy. Honestly, a singer in everything that I do today, like everything that I'm doing in my life now, like this is what I wanted to do with my life. So it's been really cool to walk through that.
Amazing.
So when I was a little kid, I wanted to work at McDonald's. And swear to honest truth, I had this McDonald's play set and I had the headset and the apron. And I thought that was the most cool, respectable job that you could have. And I had this little drive-through and I'd be like, do you want to supersize that? And I'd like hold my little headset. And I swore that I was going to grow up and run a McDonald's. So run a business,
You just reminded me. I at one point as a kid, I remember wanting to be a truck driver.
Okay.
I'm like, this is the coolest thing.
When you're a kid, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Like that's
McDonald's worker, huh?
Yeah, I have the picture. I have the little picture of me in this play set and I've got the headset and I'm just smiling.
You wouldn't. You
got to send me that. We'll put it in the description of the show notes.
Okay, I'll try to find it.
Golly, that's hysterical. Now I do love their fries. I mean, that would win me over any day.
Okay, yeah. So we're just gonna jump in. I don't have, I don't know where we're gonna go with this, but I really just want to talk to Dan about his experience and some of your business and challenges, and just see where we go with it. So you mentioned coming over to the U.S. when you were a young kid. Can you kind of just tell us a little bit about your story and maybe how you got to be where we are today?
Sure. It's really not that exciting, but
everyone has a story.
Yeah. It's my story. At about 8, we moved from South Africa. So my family...
That's exciting. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's jumping on the plane.
Like most people, hey, I've been in Cincinnati since I was 10.
Okay. So a little farther than that. So I remember moving here, and again, it was like a totally fresh start, new friends, new family. Right away, I navigated to swimming. It was summer swim league.
Did you guys move to California?
Moved to Orange County, to Irvine in particular. And Irvine has a wild summer swim league kind of presence. I don't even know. I think it's 26 summer swim teams.
Oh,
Each one's completely sold out in advance. So it is a thing there.
Okay.
And I remember that was like my first time connecting with other kids in the community because I just didn't know. I went to a small private school, didn't know all my neighbors, and that was it. So swimming was kind of a fun.
And that was your, like, all the way through. Was it like swimming, instructor, lifeguard? Is like that was your career path that led you into swim?
It definitely didn't. I wasn't my career path. It was a way to make money in the beginning, right? Yeah. So I swam on the team. I started coaching the team. I'd come back. I swam in college. I swam at Stony Brook in New York.
Okay.
And I would come back in the summers, coach in the summers.
Yeah.
But really, it was never going to be my path. And then I remember my senior year, I was contacted by a local JCC.
Okay.
Who said, hey, we're building. We're going to open our doors. we'd like you to interview for the aquatics director position. So they flew me out from New York. It was the one and only job interview I took out of college.
This is right out of college.
I was still in college. I was a senior. And the stipulation was that we opened this summer.
You have to join
You have to graduate and be there 2 days later.
Okay.
So that's
what you did.
That's what I did.
And then you've stayed down the aquatics path.
Yeah. So I stayed in there. I ran the aquatics department, ran swim teams, swim lessons to a much smaller degree than what we're doing now.
Sure.
And they put me through grad school. So they said,
That's
hey,
awesome.
we want you to take bigger roles in the organization, but you need to have a master's degree to do that. So they paid for grad school, a portion of grad school.
Yeah.
And long story short,
Here we are. So walk me through, I know you kind of alluded to it, and take this moment to brag, if you will, but kind of give me a scope of the operations that you manage now.
Sure. So Premier Aquatics is our lifeguard service business. And initially it was the everything. What we found is it just was too complex and complicated.
Yeah.
So Premier Aquatics, we're in 3 states. We're in California, Utah, and Arizona. This summer we'll tip over 1,000 employees.
Crazy.
I think it toggles between 95 and 105 locations that we service and we provide services to. So that company, again, used to be our swim programs, used to be our lifeguard side. It's purely lifeguards now.
Yeah. So staffing.
Essentially staffing and some facility management and things. Premier Swim Academy, I started honestly right before COVID. I made friends with some industry friends, Lynn Ledford and Georgette Cutler. I was a competitor in their local backyard. Literally, I taught lessons in their backyard communities. And I called Lynn one day and I said, hey, I need to do this. The project I had, I can't afford. Are you interested in coming in? And not 3 minutes later, she called me back and said, yep, Jet and I are in. And they afforded me the ability to build our first pool.
Yeah.
The second one I did on my own. My wife and I did it. Currently working on a third. And then we have a fourth, which is a city pool that we've been leasing for ages.
That's awesome.
So that's Premier Swim Academy. So that's our lessons program. Premier Health and Safety is our training business, which we provide lifeguard, CPR, all the different types of training for health and safety. And then we have Premier Pool Management now, which is our newest entity.
Okay.
Which is service, cleaning, more commercial service and cleaning. So
you're not busy at all.
Not busy at all. And then we started a software company in there for fun. So
So the software company really was to kind of address some of the things that you were, was it more from the aquatic, like the swim academy side, meaning like the staff of that agency is kind of what led you to one team? Or?
Yeah, it was all of it, so as we started getting bigger and all of a sudden we have 20 locations, I still only had a dozen managers managing those locations. So, you would manage and you would bounce from location A to B to C. And you might be the morning manager and there was overlap. And long story short, what we started realizing is that the staff knew we had no way of actually knowing who told them what or who communicated what. So originally we built the app. We just called it the app.
Yeah.
And it was literally just a log of conversations that we'd had. We categorized them as, feedback, praise, coaching, write-ups, whatever it is. And what we realized really quickly is we could take this a lot farther. So we built it just a single tenant system. We built it so it could basically handle all incentives, engagement, training. So now there's a large training component, and it's just kind of continued to evolve.
That's awesome. So are there any lessons that took you a long time to learn along this path?
Oh man. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is you can't do it on your own, and you have to trust your partners and treat them really, really well. And I'm not talking about business partners. I'm talking about partners in the businesses. So a perfect example, Ryan's been with me 13 years. My business is going on 14 years. I hired him after the first season. He trusted me. I trust him. He's now making a hell of a paycheck, and he's got some ownership. I gave him some ownership in one of the schools. He's family. So one is take care of the people that you actually rely on. You don't try and cheap out on it. The other thing is, and I was going to interrupt Jeff today as he was talking through things. It's I've got this new 80% rule.
Okay.
When you think about delegation, and last night delegation was a big conversation, right? So this whole notion of it's better to have it done 80% right 100% of the time versus 100% right 10% of the time.
Yeah.
We can't do it all.
Yep.
So I've made it a point to start really pushing stuff out. And if they get it done 80% right, great. We'll sit, we'll talk about it, help them get to 100 next time.
Yeah.
But don't try and do everything yourself.
Yeah, that's funny. I feel like I adopted something very similar in my marketing world of, you could spend so much of my time and energy on that last 15, 20% just to get it perfect, to get it right. And rather than just putting it out at 80%, like, okay, this is great. I know I'm 80% baked, but in the grand scheme of things, depending on what it is, doesn't really matter.
Yep.
Just get it out there and then move on to the next thing that's going to move you forward. So that's interesting that you said that.
Yep.
Who have been some of your biggest mentors?
Great question. So my first boss is still to this day, I still call him. He's retired and he's like, leave me alone.
And this is the guy that hired you from the JCC?
Yeah.
Okay.
So his name is Dan Berzansky. I still, he comes back into town twice a year and we have breakfast, but I still rely on him. I still, when I have questions about, hey, I've got an A and a B road.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Which way should I go?
Okay.
He knows nothing about my business.
Yeah.
But he generally knows our business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I've also relied on Jeff. I mean, I've been calling Jeff for feedback, for ideas, and then it's my team. I can't say that if you're on my team, I'm learning from you, generally speaking.
That's a great point. So let's talk about your daily routine. What's that like? Because managing all those businesses can be very interesting. So what's your daily routine like?
Yeah. So it is relatively deliberate. So I have an assistant that handles. It's funny, we were kind of joking around about this. I don't really read my email anymore. I'm told what to read. It goes into a separate folder.
I'm trying to get there.
It's really easy. We'll talk all about it.
Perfect.
So generally, I'm up in the morning and I'm work out before I get my day started for the most part. From there, honestly, my wife is a saint and she's the reason we've done any of this. I don't do much to help. I walk the dogs. That's my role in the morning. She handles our 3 kids. But once I get to the office, I've generally sorted through my to-dos and I'm jumping right in. I've got weekly kind of fixed meetings that do not change ever. Mm-hmm. Everything gets scheduled around there, but everything is planned and plotted. So here's my email time. Here's that hour. Here's my studying time or my learning time.
So you time block.
I time block like crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, like crazy.
And how do you decide what's important and what isn't?
So it's hard, there's no such thing as what's important. It's what's important now, right? So generally every Sunday night, I'm running through my week and I'm moving stuff. So generally Kate will get a message from me saying, move this meeting, cancel that meeting, add this meeting, because obviously things have changed since Friday. And then it changes all the time. It's really what fires need to be put out. I'm still trying to be on site in my swim schools. Mm-hmm. I'm still trying to be out in the field as much as I can be. But generally speaking, I'm stuck in the office typing away at the computer.
We're in the gymnastics industry, and I'm curious, what do you feel like is the biggest misconception about the swim industry?
Well, look, it's scary. The same way we just walked through your new preschool, it's scary to me and no one would even know where to start. The biggest misconception is that you need to have the formal swim background. That's probably the number one to me. I think people who are good with kids and can be organized, different safety components when it comes to swim and gym, right? But if you are organized and kind of have I don't recommend anybody jumping into it if you're not going to fully jump into it. But it's just out of reach for people who have never swam.
Is there anything that if you could snap your fingers, you would change about the swim industry?
Yeah, not even a question. So the number one thing is just getting people, parents, politicians and parents, teachers, to understand how serious the drowning epidemic is. That's number one. Swimming should not be an option. It should not be an option. And I don't say that as someone who owns swim schools.
Do you think it should be a part of formal education?
I think drowning prevention should be part of formal education for sure. So whether that's formal swim lessons or that's simple curriculum, like a, once every trimester type of thing, conversations, or, we work a lot with the Stop Drowning Now clubs and it's high school kids getting volunteer hours going to the elementary schools. It doesn't have to be paid or expensive or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
that's so important. I totally agree. I want to switch a little bit over because one of the things that the reason actually that we got initially connected to Dan was from a talk that he did at the summit, Lynn Ledford's summit that she does each year. And he was talking about business technology. And I know that he had did you have the app at that time or you didn't?
No, I don't think
I don't think you did. I think you were just talking about business technology. So he's a business tech guy, very, you use a lot of different apps and tools that can automate or make things better. What is your favorite digital tool? Not your app aside. What is your favorite digital tool or top 2 or 3?
It's funny. It's I just updated my presentation for today.
Yeah.
So hopefully nobody here listens to this, but Notes. The Notes app on my iPhone is turning
it has
into
innovated. I noticed that the other day.
Thank you, Jesus. It's innovative.
Oh my God. But it doesn't even have to at this point. I can share the notes. I've got checklist ability. I've got some other things, but that to me,
it is underrated.
I left it alone for so long and I've gone back to it. And now it's unbelievable what I do with it. And just me taking notes down, voice notes, whatever it is, just to stay organized in my regular life.
There's that shared component to it as well.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Which is, you can create other people, tagging in on your note or whatever.
Yep. So actually what I have on my phone is for my assistant. So anytime, day or night, usually at 3 a.m, I wake up and I add stuff. And it's usually for her to block me time to work on something. But I use it like crazy. Other ones, oh man, I think that's it's probably the biggest one that will blow your mind. But, we love Slack. I'm not a business technology guy. I am trying to be as efficient as I can with my time and my team's time. That's what it comes down to. So it's just using what's out there. QuickBooks, for example. I was talking to Kim.
Yeah.
My controller wasn't using rules on QuickBooks. I wanted to choke him. I did. You got to use rules. 80% of your transactions are the same thing.
So just
month after
optimization,
month. It's just optimizing your day. I mean, it's being able to click a button instead of manually doing everything all the time.
Yeah. Speaking of business technology, when you thought about expanding that app, what were some of the features that you wanted the app to have?
Yeah. So now what it has is task management. It's got custom report building. It's got training components, obviously the notes, incentivization programs built in. The next thing we're adding is a chat feature. So texting and chat. So you building out by teams. Kind of team hubs, so to speak, of where you can chat, have document storage, things like that. So
what was that process like undertaking, developing an app?
Oh man, it was, it's funny because when we started this process, I remember I moved out of my house for 3 months to do a construction project. And I have such a bad taste in my mouth of that experience and that the house I moved into. I won't even go into the neighborhood anymore.
Really?
Because the amount of work I had to put into actually developing it out was, you don't think about all the things. You can't possibly think of everything.
And how many developers were working on that initially?
So the initial project had about 24 developers on it because we were in a rush.
And were you using people you knew? Were you using like a source? Like a 5, like where are you getting the developers?
Yeah. So I have a business partner who's my CTO. We hired an outside agency that we developed overseas.
Okay.
It took us a year to undevelop that and fix it.
Okay.
so we essentially got it out. It was a very, very expensive proof of concept that we're still cleaning up the mess from. The code was bad. We're finally now getting to a point where things work the way they're supposed to.
That's a great point. What advice would you give to someone that's undertaking app building?
Yeah. So one, get someone who's done it before that isn't getting paid by the hour to consult, right? These guys were just, honestly, I don't want to say this because I'm my own man, but they bullied me into moving quicker and doing more and building bigger. And
do you want it paid by project? Is that by?
Yeah. I would spend a lot more time scoping out the project. You can build low code or no code versions of these things now, really with no development experience.
That's true.
And then play with it and say, ooh, I'm glad I did this because now I can fix this before I go, these $300 an hour developers that are, the other piece is we've now hired our own team. I mean, we did it they're in South America. All of our developers are in South America now, but they're ours.
Yeah.
And we sit on
And how big is that team now? I feel like
9.
9. Okay.
9.
So 9 full-time developers for you.
Yep.
Awesome.
So they just sit and they're not in the same room, but they're in the same on the same video share all day, talking through things and going through it. And our CTO manages them from afar.
That's awesome.
So,
what are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing in business today?
honestly, it's change management. And it's amazing as we start to scale. We're scaling at a rate that I've never thought.
Sure.
My BHAG, we're going to hit my BHAG this year.
What was it?
10 million in revenue.
Ooh.
For
This
the,
year-
for the
wait,
lifeguard business.
Yes.
We're
Clap it
only
up.
that is dope, right? But we're only in May, right?
Okay.
Yeah. We've contracted it out. We're so on the lifeguard side of the business, we're going to hit it. So
That's great.
awesome.
and then the swim schools, I've got
great.
some BHAGs for the swim schools, but I'm marching towards those. But yeah, no, it's the growth it's compounding. It's weird.
So the challenge is what? Talk to me about that. What are the biggest challenges for that?
So I guess the question, who's going to listen to this? So
Business owners, club. Oh, is there anybody you don't want to listen to this? Is that what you're saying?
So the team you built last year isn't necessarily the team you need this
That carries
year.
you forward. That's a
So
great one.
it's a hard one because these people have put their blood, sweat, and tears into doing this, but at some point they go from pushing to pulling.
Mm.
And we're realizing very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, we can relate.
Yeah.
We can certainly relate to that. I mean, and how do you suss that out? And then begin to have those conversations, or what's your process like when you see an employee goes from pushing to pulling and back and forth and
Yep. So basically I envision a train going down the track, and it's not going super fast, right? And at some point everybody's kind of walking alongside of it. At some point, we're having to slow the train down in order to. So when I find myself having to spend my time to get them to be able to get the things done that they need to get done, all of a sudden they're pulling, they're not pushing.
Because you have some people on the bus, right, that they're moving with the train, and then you have the ones that aren't. Even if they pour their blood, sweat, and tears into it, it's just the business has evolved and things have changed, and maybe they're not in the right seat on the bus, or they don't need to be on the bus.
Yeah, remember, no one's ever bigger than the business, including me, including you, including Jeff, no one's ever bigger than the business. So the number one thing, when I think about how many mortgages and rents and car payments we cover every month, right?
Yeah.
My feelings will not get in the way of affording people to be able to do that, right?
So what does the company need?
It's what does the company need to support the greater
not what
good?
I want.
Yep.
It's what does the company need?
Yeah. And at some point I will be
not what
irrelevant
the company needs anymore. Yeah.
Right. And I acknowledge that, and I'm good with that. I won't be good with it then, but right now
And getting all of your leaders to understand that it is about what the company needs, what's going to move us forward, and what's good for the group.
Yeah.
What's good for the whole, not what's good for me.
That's it. What's good for the pack.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's so much more than what what you're making it out to be, but it's so important as for the scaling and for the growth.
Yep.
That that how much that one person can do.
It's wild because it's a compounding effect, right? Because when I think about, I've got someone in my mind who I spent 10 hours with last week, right? That 10 hours,
that is,
I could do a lot with 10 hours, right? I would rather see my kids for an extra 10 hours.
Sure.
Right. So if it turns into a thing where 10 hours a week, 40 hours a month, it's just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's a full week.
Yeah.
And if you have two of those employees, or if you have three of those employees,
right?
I mean, it compounds. So, what's next for Dan or your business? Like, what's next for you?
Yeah. So it's funny. What was next last year is different this year, but we're pouring a lot of effort into the growth of Premier Aquatics, the pool management side. Our service business just got started and is already.
That's cool. Yeah.
We're just doing it a little bit different. So I think our clients appreciate that. The app, we brought in a VP of sales who's doing much better than I ever did.
Yeah.
Right. Because he's focused on it and he's incentivized to focus on it.
Yeah.
So really, I think what we've been working on is getting everybody to a level kind of foundation with everybody knows we're going. Like liftoff is coming. You're either with us or you're not.
Yeah.
Right. So it's another school. It's exceeding our numbers. We have 25%.
Which is exciting for everybody. Like when they know and they're all on that same page, like we're going. Like
look, Meg, it's grow or die.
Yeah.
So I know some of our employees are afraid of growth, and I just tell them, you don't
Afraid of
want
change.
it might be change, but it's also more work. So growth means more work.
Yeah.
So they're afraid of it, but I keep telling them, do you want to be doing the same thing 5 years from now? You don't. You want to grow. You want to do something different. Well, I don't have an opportunity for you to do anything different unless we grow, right? That excellent deck manager for me who wants to be a facility manager, an assistant manager, if I don't open another school, it doesn't happen. So, and then she leaves and my talent pool dies.
Mm-hmm.
It's grow or die.
That's good.
So
there's a title for your podcast. Grow or die.
Grow or die. I like that.
My wife will call it grow and die.
I like
She
her.
wants me to slow down a little bit.
I don't think that's in your blood.
It's not my blood.
Yeah, that's not who you are.
No. This is fun.
So, take a minute, and we haven't talked a ton about One Team 360, but you give me your elevator speech. Like what does One Team 360 do? What can it do for business owners? What does it accomplish?
So really, I mentioned what it was designed to be, but really what it's turned into is a full service operating system for employee engagement and management, specifically for hourly staff.
Yeah.
So we take your hourly employee who just clocks in, clocks out, has no care in the world about what they're doing, and we have gamified the way we employ them.
Yeah. Right.
So they come in, they do a good job, they're eligible for points. Those points unlock opportunities, raises, interviews for other things. But it's the true documenter of all of it, which I think we've lacked. Everybody's afraid to have real conversations with their employees now.
Mm-hmm.
And the employees are not used to getting feedback. So
daily, weekly.
So they get it daily from us.
Yep.
But really, that was very much by design, right? Because now I go to an employee and say, hey, uniform looks like hell. No, I wouldn't say it that way. I would say, hey, dude, is that part of our uniform policy? And they think I'm attacking them like with a knife or something, right? They're not used to hearing direct feedback. So now we have it. From your interview, we say, how are you at handling direct feedback? Because expect it every day. If you don't get it every day, there's a problem.
It's a great interview question.
And it's been interesting. So they get daily feedback. They give us feedback on their managers in the facility. So we get report cards on our performance as a leadership team. But it documents all of the training. It helps with all of it. So it's been fun.
What's the inspiration for that program? What started that?
Yeah, so that was when they knew we weren't able to possibly document things and keep track of what we were talking to them about. But then it turned into, when we hit 300 employees, you can't remember birthdays, you can't remember anniversaries. So like when we started thinking about that, okay, now we're adding in birthdays, now we're adding in anniversaries. They get text messages from their boss saying happy birthday. The boss doesn't even know it's their birthday, right? So we just figured out a way to make us feel like a smaller company, where we can track everything. And when Meg comes in and she's been talking to you, I come in and I know exactly what Meg talked to you about, right? And I can come in and have a conversation. The system now will actually say, hey, you haven't interacted with Meg, or no one has interacted with Meg this week. It'll flag you and tell them. So
yeah, we just started using it at Kids First too, I want to say about 6 weeks ago. And I know that our DLs really like it. I think the staff, it's fun and exciting, to level up. And I think we've had a couple level up, and, everybody can set their own incentive goals and what the chart is, but it is gamified and it's fun. And they, it's not that dangle a carrot. Like it's genuinely, it is working towards our standards and towards our value system. Like you can build it and optimize it for the value system. It's not just that carrot dangling kind of incentive, but it's been fun. It's, I know we're still figuring out all the different ways to use it, but we really like it over there.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I'll tell you, you asked me what I learned. We built too much too early. Mm-hmm. One team should have been half the functionality that we built. Yeah. And we should have just built that better.
Optimize that and then grow.
Exactly. We have too many, we had too many things that we will sunset some of them here soon so we can spend more time on others.
Cool. So. Yeah.
I like to humanize our guests. Can you think of an embarrassing moment that you had to deal with over the last maybe couple years in your position?
It's funny. I'm wrong all the time. And I'm wrong all the time. And I openly admit it. But honestly, usually it's when I should know something but I clearly didn't pay enough attention going into it. Like,
I was about to say, like, I don't even know, does Dan get embarrassed? Like,
I get embarrassed, but
Yeah.
I generally it's I haven't gotten caught with my pants down, if that's what you mean. But I roll with it. I try to roll with it. I don't let anything.
So when you should know something, but you don't.
Yeah. Or like I should have read that email, or I did read that email, but my memory, I got nervous for a minute. Yeah, my memory. But once I just slowed down and started delegating more, it came right back. It was crazy. But it was a lot of things like, oh, what'd you think of that email today? I have no idea what you're talking about.
I understand that. I have to write everything down or it's gone.
Yep.
And I have to refer back to it.
Yep.
I just cannot remember all the things that are happening.
Yep.
So I get that.
Yeah, but nothing that really stands out.
This is maybe a deep question, but I'm curious. What do you want your legacy to be?
So personally with my kids, I want my kids to always know that I'm there for them and I do it for them. And I think that my 13-year-old is starting to understand that because she comes in, she teaches, and she sees what we built.
That's cool.
So my family just knowing that I'm doing it literally for them. I'm loving what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
And I this is what I chose to do, and I love it.
Yeah.
On the employee side, just that honestly I took care of them, and I don't know that they know that. We just did again. I wonder who will listen to this, but we just did we do profit sharing for our leaders, and we call them regional managers, level 3 or above on our org chart. It's funny. Everyone just got decent bonuses. I didn't get a single thank you for it, which was really interesting. So, and we're one of our contracts, it's a huge contract for us, and they're screwing us. They're cutting out 3 days a week of service. We've hired all these people who have quit their full-time jobs to come work for us full-time. And they're doing it for this short period of time that makes no sense because they are over budget. So yesterday I made the decision to pay everybody. We're not getting paid for it, but we're paying everybody. I don't know that they'll ever know that. I don't know that so my hope is that eventually they catch on that we've tried to do them right and we've paid them well and took care of them. But, that's what I hope it'll be.
I feel that. I feel that for sure from a business owner standpoint.
Yeah.
So you don't want to call it out, but you are doing it for them. You're doing it for the kids and you're doing it for the staff.
Yep.
You want them to know that is your intention. It's not for me.
Yep.
It's for them.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? How do you get them to know that? That is hard.
I mean, without grabbing them and shaking them and saying,
you know what I did?
I took money out of my pocket.
Do you know what? Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
But
So what keeps you up at night, Dan?
Oh man. So for the past year, it's been money. Expansion was too quick, to be honest with you. I built that second property way too soon. And the bank gave me money too easily. I love them for it, trust me. But it was a really painful year. We opened at the wrong time. We couldn't get the numbers up. I was personally bankrolling the project for this past year. Yeah, it was just money. Now it's what's next because things have settled down a little bit. It's what's next. So, but yeah, and then the software we'll see. I mean, I think about that a lot. We have a bunch of offers to buy it. Which is interesting. I didn't think we'd get here.
That's cool.
So that keeps me up a little bit.
That's a cool little feature there.
It's cool. Yeah, I never thought the software would ever turn. I thought it was going to be a fun little project.
Yeah.
It's turned into more than that. So
that's awesome. Well done. I have some rapid fire questions and just a few. I mean, do you have a favorite quote?
It's like an old Western quote, but if you have to shoot, don't talk. So if you have to do it, stop talking about it, just do it.
I like it.
So
I like that. What is your go-to pastime, hobby?
Honestly, my kids are my hobby. I wish I had a hobby. I love being outside. I love working out, but
just spending time with your kids.
Yeah, my hobby. I don't have a hobby.
Whatever they want to do. Yeah. Are you an early riser or a night owl?
Oh yeah, early riser. Yeah, not as early as some people, but 5:45, 6 o'clock.
This is an offshoot, but do you know what is that most productive time of the day for you? Is it sometime in the morning?
End of the day.
End of the day.
Really?
It's really weird.
That is weird. Most early risers is that morning time.
It's really weird. And I block my schedule with that in mind. So I get up, I work out. When I get there, it's generally, I feel like I have to be part of everything.
So your morning is time blocked in with people, but
Yep.
your most productive
Yep.
self-time is the evening.
Yeah. So basically starting at about 2:00, I'm heads down till 7 usually.
Okay.
I pick my son up from swim team at 7.
So that's your
6:50. So 2.
7 and on, you want to be with the kids.
Yep.
And then,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's pretty protected.
What is your go-to snack? What does Dan
Ooh.
like to snack on?
Man, I am a peanut butter pretzel fiend.
Okay.
And it's funny, I was convinced I hated it. And I don't know if the palate changed or what.
yeah.
I love
Now
peanut
you
butter
love
pretzels.
peanut butter pretzels.
Yeah, it's a disease.
And then, do you have a favorite book or podcast?
I don't. Honestly, there's honestly not a business book by any means, but Born to Run. If you haven't listened to Born to Run,
Okay.
it's about running, but it's about a lot more than that.
Okay.
I love all like the geeky military kind of admirals and David
Like
Goggins.
nonfiction?
And I like just storytelling. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bios.
Yeah.
No, I love bios and just people's story. I mean, but I think that's innate to me is I love to find out people's story. I want to find out about them. So biographies to me are just, I feel like I'm learning so much beyond their story when I'm just interested.
Yeah. There's one now. It's funny because I've never, like my kids are getting to the point now where it's real. You know, they were always real, but how much can you really screw them up when they're young? But as the emotions start to come in, and so I just read Building a Resilient Family, the guy who started Spartan Races.
Okay. Yep. I know what you're talking about.
And I can't remember his name, but this book, Building a Resilient Family, or something to that effect, that book has changed my mindset instantly. Just the way we treat our kids and the way we baby our kids and how we basically set them up for failure sometimes. So
Nice. Well, I really appreciate the time. How can people get in touch with you? Like where can they get more information about your businesses or you in general? How can people get in touch?
yeah. So email is always the best. So Dan at OneTeam360. I don't monitor, but Kate will tell me that you emailed me. And I'm decent on LinkedIn, but that's about it.
Okay.
That's about it. And I'm not really we're heads down and just kind of working on our projects. So, but always love talking this stuff.
Yeah. Corey, any final thoughts?
No, man. It was good. It was good to get to know you, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your knowledge with our folks here. I think they're really going to grab something from us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Honored to join you guys.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Dan. You've been a wonderful industry friend to me and to our business. I'm so glad we could chat today and really learn more about you and learn from you. We hope that you gained a solution today to a problem that you may be facing in your business. That's the goal of our boot camp, Lifetime Solutions for Your Business and Business Solutions for Your Lifetime. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you're not currently subscribed to our podcast and want to be notified when a new episode is released, you can find us on Spotify, Apple, or Google. If you're interested in visiting Kids First Sports Center or an upcoming boot camp, visit www.metzgerbootcamp.com. Thank you again, Dan, and thank you, Corey, for being with us today. Until next time, stay positive and keep moving forward.